Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to ATX Music Talks. ATX Music Talks is a series created by the Music Division with the goal of developing a forum for industry discussion about different aspects of the Austin music community. We're coming to you live from City Hall. I'm your moderator today. My name is Gena McKinley. I work in the communications office for the city, and I'm excited to have with us today the music office itself. So it's interesting that the City of Austin has a music and entertainment division within the economic development department, and we're fortunate to hear from them today to learn more about what it is that they do. So first, I am going to let the panelists introduce themselves to you. We'll start with you, Erica.
Hello, my name is Erica Shamaly. I'm the division manager for the Music and Entertainment Division within the City of Austin's Economic Development Department. Very glad to be here.
Thank you.
So I'm David Murray. I work for the City of Austin Entertainment Division, and I've been here 7.5 years. My title is Sound Engineering Consultant. It's a variety of tasks that I do. We'll be talking about that as we go on, and I'm real happy to work for the city.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Zinger. I'm the Music Business Development Program Coordinator. I work on the industry development programming side of the division and work primarily with music businesses and musicians to create new opportunities for them.
Great. Really interesting jobs. We're going to learn a little bit more about each of them as we go through today. But I want to let everyone know, if you have any questions for these guys, drop a line in the comment section below. Remember, you can join the conversation by using hashtag ATXMusicTalks on Facebook and Twitter. We have folks monitoring that, so please ask your questions, and we'll get to them later in the series today. And with that, we're going to dive in. And Erica, can you tell us a little bit about just an overview of what is your division, the Music and Entertainment Division? How's it structured? Who works there? That kind of thing.
Sure. All right. Well, our division is part of the Economic Development Department of the City of Austin, which is kind of unusual. There's only one other city, Toronto, who kind of based their model upon our model. The reason why we have both cultural arts and music and entertainment within economic development is because it's one of the main things that helps spur economic development in the city, as well as tourism. You know, we want people to be visiting Austin, and of course, music is a very important component of visiting Austin, live shows. So it just makes sense that that is placed within economic development, so that we can kind of work in tandem with the rest of the divisions, so that we can get more people here to check out Austin, and, visit our venues, enjoy the music, while at the same time thinking, hey, I like Austin, I think I may want to move here and start a business. So it kind of just goes hand in hand, and it's really great for us to work together like that. And what do we do? Well, originally we were brought together to deal with more sound issues, things that, because we have so many venues here, that attention was given to the fact that we need to kind of work with venues on kind of sound issues that came up, as well as festivals and South by Southwest as they were growing. But that's grown. The scope has completely grown now. We've just hired on 3 new people as part of our entertainment services group. So we have 2 parts of the division. One is programming, industry development, artist development, and one is folks that work directly with the venues and the special events to be sure that everybody is kind of working together in such a way that the experience for the fans, for the venues, for the musicians, that everything is top-notch, while at the same time making sure that we are respecting our communities and our residents, to make sure that things don't get too loud out there. So we help with that communication and that dialogue between the venues, the artists, and we kind of help facilitate any kind of issues that may come up. And so David will talk a little bit more about that. So I feel very fortunate. Like I said, we have about 8 people, and on the programming side, which Alyssa will talk about too, we work directly with figuring out how to help artists make more money, which is obviously a very important issue right now, considering the affordability of Austin going up. And the reason why that's happening is because our creatives are so amazing and have helped make the city a very attractive place for people to come visit and to live here. And so we've got to be sure that we preserve that group of folks, because there would be no Austin without our musicians and our industry here. So we're working really hard to look at different ways that we can help with artist compensation, affordability, while at the same time working with venues to be sure that they're making more money, getting more people through the door, and doing it in such a way that's innovative, using technology in such a way that sound is not an issue, and it's actually creates a better experience for the fan. And then industry development. We want to see other parts of the music industry develop here in Austin beyond just live music. We would like to see publishers here, and we want to see musicians making money in so many different ways than just playing gigs. So I've got an amazing team of people together we're working together right now to make all of this happen. In fact, you'll be seeing a lot more information on our website and through all of our social networks. So please, like our page, go to all of our accounts and follow us, and then you'll get the latest on what's coming up.
Great. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Big job for a relatively small team of people. In a city where we have music happening all day, every day, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you mentioned going beyond, like developing the music industry a little bit more. I know you all have a newsletter. I took a look at it before I joined you all today. And one of the things I saw in the newsletter, I believe it was called a sector summit. So Alyssa, I understand that's one of the activities that happens in your office. And there was recently a sector summit, and I think it talked about the record industry. And I think you have one coming up. So can you talk to us a little bit more about what are sector summits?
Yes.
What's happened with them and kind of what's coming up?
Absolutely. Sector Summit series is something that came about, I believe, last November. So we've had, I think, about 8 or 9 of these sector summits so far. And this series spurred from our need to really connect with music businesses in town. If you recall the census in 2015, we talked to 3 different groups. We talked to musicians, we talked to music venues, and we talked to music businesses. But there are so many different music businesses, so many subsectors within that group, and we really wanted to hone in on the things that they needed for business, for future growth. And so we put together this series to really create a better conversation between those members and our office, telling them exactly what we do, what kind of programming we offer, maybe what are we not doing that they need from us, things like that, what issues are they facing. It also offered a really great networking opportunity between peer-to-peer and obviously from those industry groups to us. So making sure that we're keeping the conversation going and creating new collaborative opportunities. So we've had the most recent sector summit we had was with record producers. And at the end of each one of the sector summits, it's also very important that we collect data so that we know what type of programming or maybe even new policy that we want to put forth for this certain group. So the last few summits, we've actually learned that we need to start marketing Austin as not only a live music capital, but as a recording city, because we have some really phenomenal recording studios in town, and we want to make sure that not only are our local musicians taking advantage of that, but also touring musicians that maybe want to pop in for a session, something like that. But yeah, we have another one coming up on November 3rd. It's actually going to be almost a full day of programming. It's very exciting. It's going to be on creative space. So we're going to bring in different panels and focus group sessions and even a fishbowl case study session. We're very, very excited about that. So it's a new series that we're really excited about.
And if we have viewers out there watching that want to learn more about that, where's the best place for them to go?
Yes, absolutely. Checking on our Facebook. We always have those listed on all of our social media sites. Again, we've covered booking agents, artist managers, recording studios, record producers, independent record labels. We've covered a lot, but we're still going, and we're going to grow that to hopefully creating some type of mixer for more collaborative opportunities for those groups too.
So join those invites on Facebook.
Yes.
and invite your friends.
Yes.
Because one of the things we're realizing, like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. And so we're going to get a lot better about making sure you guys are aware of what's happening.
Definitely. I'm learning today all these things that you all do. And I work for the city, and I had no idea.
I have to say that the events that I've attended are fantastic. Just getting people together and talking is invaluable. And they always come up with a list of the top 3 ideas to help propel.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we implore you. You're not alone. You don't have to work alone. Austin is here to support you. Not only us as a division, but people within your industry are here to support each other. I mean, Austin is one of the most collaborative, creative places I've ever lived. I've been here since 1990, and our musicians and our artists are very used to working with each other. And so it should be the same for all of these industry sectors, like record producers. A lot of them didn't know each other. They didn't realize they were each having the same problems.
Exactly.
And so if we can just get that dialogue going and communicate, and then have them communicate with us about what we could do better, it's very important. So please invite all your friends.
Yes.
Spread the word out there. And David, let's shift over to you. So you guys mentioned that the division is kind of divided into two parts, and David, you are in the entertainment services,
Right,
and
so
it really started as like kind of with a lot of sound issues. So
it
talk
did.
a
As
little
Erica
bit about.
mentioned, our office was brand new in 2010. I guess I'm a senior employee now. But yes, a lot of the generation of our office was about sound complaints, and so I think we have a pretty good track record. A big part of my job is I work with all the outdoor sound permits, that's temporary events and the annual permits, and work with venues to, sometimes it's very simple, speaker placement, things like that. We always approach it from the manner of how can we make this work. We're here to assist the venues, and we do take the resident complaint calls as well. So, as with any situation, communication is vital. That's the first step, and we
Talk about the Red River pilot program and how
Yeah.
communication was key to that.
absolutely. So, council.
And tell everybody what it is,
Yes,
just in
so
case they're not
there
familiar.
are 5 venues in the Red River Historic Cultural District that banded together, and they wanted to get an hour extra time for their sound cutoff time on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And there's a pilot program that the council approved, and we're nearing the end of that 6-month pilot. And going into it, some of the neighborhood groups were in opposition, and so part of the program was sound monitoring, and that's part of what I do in my job. And these monitors are available on real time. People can see it on their phone app, and so there was transparency in that, and a lot of goodwill, and a lot of meetings happened between the neighborhood groups and the venues and our staff. And they went to council last week, and council approved it for another 6 months.
And I heard positive remarks from
Well,
kind of all of the
yes.
folks you mentioned.
Actually, one of the neighborhood group people said that noise trespass actually lessened during the pilot. So we're very pleased about that, and it's a way for our venues to make more revenue during those lucrative hours. And also they can start their shows a little later in the summer months because the heat is a factor for outdoor venues. It's been a real success, and we're real pleased about it.
Yes, definitely.
And so going forward for another 6 months,
Yes.
extending the pilot. Okay.
Mhm.
That's great news. And also related to sound, I hear you get to find innovative solutions to sound issues in our community, and I hear there's some technology from abroad that you've brought to Austin.
Yes, yes. So I'm always looking and have my ear to the ground for technology, both for sound monitoring and speaker sound containment. And so I think what you're referring to is it's almost 2 years ago I got an email about this crazy sound system, and it's developed in Sweden. The company is in Melbourne, Australia, and then the rep is in BC, Vancouver, BC. So I established a phone relationship, and I talked them into shipping a system over in October of last year. We demoed it right out here outside of City Hall. What it is, they're speakers that mount above the listening audience and point straight down, and it's just the darndest thing you've ever heard. I mean, it's a linear sound wave. It's not spherical like a pebble in a pond. It doesn't do that. It just absolutely stops at the boundary. So you have to hear it. But
It's pretty
we
incredible.
did several
An
demos.
excuse to go out and
Yeah.
hear a show.
But we did several demos for mayor and council, and people will be standing 60 feet back, just kind of looking quizzically. And I say, how come? They don't even realize the sound is thumping. And then they come underneath the grid, and it's just all enveloping, and it's a pretty incredible experience. So there's a venue downtown in the established 6th Street Entertainment District, the Nook, that they are a kind of bass-heavy venue, and a hotel built right behind them, and a dispute ensued, and I'm happy to say that the technology was the answer, and they settled their difference, and the system is now up and running as of a week. And the initial reports are everyone's very happy.
Yeah.
And so you just have to hear it. It's so funny we can talk about it, but your brain can't even really process it because you've never really heard anything like
You have
it.
to hear it to believe it.
Right, and Austin's
Exactly.
a great, city for these types of innovative solutions. I mean, obviously live music is such a part of our culture, but so is tech and innovation. And so anytime that we can intersect those two to kind of highlight, some innovative ways of approaching a sound system or how traffic flows, at a festival or whatever it is, we're going to look at that so that we can make the best experience possible for the fan as well as for the residents and for the venues. So I'd like to say thank you to David, his due diligence. It was a lot of research and a lot of work. But
and maybe the first in the country to have this sort of a system, or
It's
at
the
least
first,
an early adopter.
first in North America. Apparently this system's been installed in 4,500 locations around the world, but never North America. And it's it's not the solution for every venue, but I'll tell you, it's just as someone said, it's the closest thing to a miracle I've ever heard. It's pretty amazing.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
And speaking of collaboration, another piece of the work that you all do is the Music City and Sister City Creative Trade Alliance Initiative. Do one of you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Sure, I can talk about that. Yes, that's a new initiative that we are going to be enhancing, a current initiative that we're going to be enhancing a little bit more, working with sister cities and also potentially UNESCO cities down the line, if we're still in that running. But yeah, we're going to be looking to create new opportunities for not only musicians but music businesses, creating jobs, creating potentially new tour opportunities. This is going to involve a lot of different partners for both Austin and whichever city we choose, if that's in the United States or if that's a sister city. But bringing in city council, bringing in public and private businesses within our wonderful city, Austin. But yeah, those are new opportunities that we're going to be trying to collaborate with sister cities. For example, Angers, France, Adelaide, Australia, Saltillo, New Mexico, all different sister cities that we have. We're very fortunate to have a good collection of sister cities that have a lot of really wonderful cultural offerings, and we definitely want to hone in on those best practices that we're doing also. It's definitely something that we can reach out to them if they're doing something right. We want to make sure we hone in on those programs and maybe even adopt those for ourselves as well. But really making sure that we're strengthening those relationships between Austin and the sister cities.
Yeah, it's really a cultural trade that we're working on. We're sending artists out. We're working with different nonprofits like ATX6, House of Songs. So our Austin artists are leaving Texas, leaving the U.S., going into these cities and touring, meeting with our counterparts there, and then they're coming back here and doing the same thing. And it's not just music, it's also visual arts, it's food, wine. So we're looking at the whole kind of cultural experience trade, and music is being just part of that, because again, it goes back to economic development. I mean, it's about getting people into the city to check out what we're all about. And the same thing we want Austin folks to go to our sister cities and go travel throughout these countries. And so if we have an ongoing trade happening, and it's not just once a year, if it's ongoing, then we will have, it just creates more activity between all of us, and then promotes tourism, and then also expands the horizons of our musicians going out on tour like this and meeting with other musicians from other countries, other types of music. House of Songs actually has artists come together and they make new music together. And so it's pretty innovative and interesting, and it helps kind of just make you a better artist, because your mind is being expanded.
And have we had the opportunity to host musicians here in Austin?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. So check out House of Songs. Troy Campbell is hosting people from all over the world on a regular basis at the House of Songs that's in Travis Heights. And then Austin, we had Angers Week that's happened here, that we've brought in musicians from Angers, France, and also there's a film festival that works with Austin Film Society from Angers, and then also on the food side, we've had chefs come in from there and make food and be part of different events here. So that's been going on for like 5 years with the city of Angers, and we use local promoters here. There's folks here that have been going to Angers for years and bringing Austin artists over there and then bringing them back here. And so it's such a great model. We're going to just try to expand that. Hackney is another sister city that we're working with. I went and visited them in September. They have a wonderful youth program that's just amazing called Hackney Live. And so we're going to talk to them. It's like, how do we bring Hackney Live to Austin and create Austin Live in affiliation with Hackney? It's all online, so it's a global audience that we're working with. And so what better way to work with our sister city, and create new programs and new ideas together.
That's great. And Erica, so you've been in this role. You're not new to Austin, but you're new to this role in the city, and you've been there about 3 to 4 months so far. What do you think?
I'm digging it. This is like my dream come true job. I've been in Austin since 1990. I've worked with creatives, visual arts, filmmakers, musicians since 1998. And so I'm a promoter of the arts. And so this is just kind of the, the perfect storm of job, because I'm also I have a keen interest in economic development and making sure that our artists are making money and are making a living wage, are staying in Austin and can raise a family, buy a house, send their kids to college. So big, what I can bring in working with this amazing team is that we are definitely focusing on an initiative, the ATX Musician Compensation Initiative, where we're going to be working on ways that the city can directly start paying artists. I mean, we already do. Anytime we use an artist, they're paid. We license their music as well. But we're going to be expanding all of these programs and then promoting some new programs to get money directly into the hands of artists, like whether it's busking, that's going to be something that's coming up.
Busking, did
busking,
you say?
yeah.
What is busking?
Street performance.
Okay.
And so, believe it or not, a lot of people are under the impression that it is illegal here, and it is not. You can busk in Austin, you just can't have amplified sound doing it. So we're going to be working with London on best practices of how to do that right here in Austin. We'll be paying guarantees at first, and but people can also keep their tips because it's a new way of looking at things. And so we'll be working with some developers of how to place buskers throughout their development to help bring community to their new space. And it improves the walkability of our city and things to do as you're walking around and checking things out. And also creates another revenue stream for our musicians. And then on the industry development side, we do want publishers here. We want more industry sectors here, major industry components here, so that artists can start working beyond just a live music gig. Whether it's a session work or working in the film industry or working with video game industry, there's all these different sectors that Austin has that intersect all the time, but we need to train up our musicians so that they can easily move between these sectors and make more money. And so we'll be working really hard. There'll be some announcements coming up of how we're going to focus on getting band tips, facilitated, and then also just kind of educating them as well. So we'll be working on a continuing education program, workforce development, while at the same time focusing on industry development. So I feel like coming in is just like the perfect storm of all my experience over the last however many decades I've been doing this. But focusing in on my favorite group of creatives, which is musicians. I've seen live, my first South by Southwest was in 1991 when wristbands were $17.50, I believe.
Wow.
And we were aghast when it went over $20. So I have, I've been a part of this live music scene since the 90s. And all of us have kind of grown up together. And so we're kind of finally in these leadership positions. It's me and there's a bunch of us that I've known for decades that are finally in this position to be able to, keep working our tails off on a more broader way, on a macro level instead of those micro levels. So very excited.
Austin music scene and Austin musicians are lucky to have you, and definitely keep track of what these folks are doing, because it sounds like there's a lot of resources, a lot of new programming coming up that could be really beneficial for our music community.
Yeah, and I have to, give it to my predecessor, Don Pitts, how hard he worked to expand this group and having all these new people join the group. It has been, like David said, since 2010, it's been a work, to make sure that this that the city is really looking really hard at our musicians and at this scene, and realizing that this is an important component of building Austin still into the future. So, it's just, I'm honored just to be part of this team,
It's great,
guys.
It's great. And speaking of, just kind of the resources that we have in our community related to music and building up that economy, in addition to your office, there's also the Austin Music Commission. And Alyssa, I know you serve as the liaison to that commission, and they recently gathered together and had their kind of retreat to look into the future for the next year and what's on deck. So if you want to talk a little bit about what that is and your role in that.
Absolutely. So the Music Commission has been around for decades. It has grown with the city's expansion into 10-1. So there are 11 members of the Music Commission, one from each district that the council member selects, and then the mayor also has an appointee as well, so 11, and they actually advocate for music issues to council. Perhaps the council members don't have an ear to the ground like these people do, and they are all over the industry, these 11 commissioners. They are composers, they are music teachers, they work to program for the Irwin Center. I mean, they're all over, they run the gamut. So they have a lot of connections and really can speak to what Austin has been and what Austin could be. And the retreat was a very wonderful event. I think it was just a regular commission meeting actually, but they really were able to hone in on some of the things that as commissioners and people who are just deeply invested in the Austin music industry, what they want to see from it in this next 12 months. Things that they came across, again, subjects we've heard before, but are still very important, like affordability, diversity, not only for musicians, but for genres, and making sure that there's music represented in all these different districts. Another interesting one that I recall is noticing that there are three kind of tiers of music businesses in town. There's like your C3s, your South Bys, and then you have the medium-sized businesses, and then maybe you have the small recording studios, but making sure that we're kind of closing that gap and maybe creating new opportunities and new programs so that they can collaborate more and really reinvest those big guys, those giants, to reinvest in our industry and use new partners and use local partners. But it was a really great meeting with the retreat. It also talked about the hot tax, the hotel occupancy tax, and really making sure that we get a lot of money that we can disseminate to musicians through various programs. And so making sure that music is at the forefront of commissioners' minds and really actively creating working groups and new programs to create growth in that aspect.
And we really want the citizens of Austin to work with their commissioners. You need to find out who your commissioner is, who your council member is as well, and bring these issues to these different commissions. There's the Arts Commission as well, the Music Commission, and if these are things that are dear to you, please come.
Yes.
These are open to the public. You should get to know your commissioners and just tell them if you have any great ideas or you happen to know of a business that's thinking about locating to Austin. We need to know about these things, and so if it's daunting to figure out who do I talk to, the city's so big, you could talk to your commissioner, you could talk directly to our office, but that's what we're here for, is to represent you guys, and so we want to be sure that people are using that resource.
Absolutely. We want to make sure that they know that commissioners and our office are here to advocate for all different people within our industry. And I also wanted to state that the Music Commission meets every Monday, the first Monday of every month, rather, 6:30 p.m. at the City Hall Boards and Commissions room. And like Erica said, we have new businesses coming in all the time and expressing for a few minutes what it is, who I am, what kind of business do I run, what have I done before, what do I want to do, how do I want to partner. If anybody wants to partner with me, here's my information. Everyone is just so forthcoming, and again, like Erica said, always up for collaborative opportunities.
Mm-hmm. So a great way if you've got ideas, input, feedback, or
absolutely, yes.
Avenue
yes, absolutely. And it's also very important for the Music Commission. For example, they've done a number of resolutions that go towards council. For example, Mosaic Sound Collective actually came up a few months ago, and they needed rezoning for their new building to actually expand into all the uses that they wanted. And they came to the Music Commission. The Music Commission wrote a resolution in favor that actually went to council, and then they in turn went to the zoning commission and got approved, and then with all these different approvals from these various commissions, council then unanimously approved this zoning change. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that if you have a matter that is you're wondering who can help me, I don't know who to go to, come to the Music Commission. They're always willing to help, and they're very eager and interested in what you have to say.
That's great. It's a great resource. Thinking through all the things and just kind of preparing for today, all the different activities. I don't think there's any way we're going to cover them all in this hour, but for folks at home or wherever you're viewing from that don't know, another unique thing that we do here at the City of Austin, at our City Council meetings, we always have live music. So I don't know if that happens at other city council meetings, but I know it's a cool thing that we do here, and so your office is involved in the live music, and I don't know if you want to talk about that, and I know you also have Music on Hold, I just discovered.
Absolutely,
so.
Yes, there's so many wonderful programs, and that's part of the industry development side. Simone Wilson, who's actually in the back right now, she coordinates the music proclamations, and this program has been around for years. This is a wonderful program. I believe a few other cities in the United States have now adopted this, but we are the first, and we bring about a musician, a band in town, and we honor them with their day in Austin, and it's usually the mayor that gives them this proclamation. It's a very wonderful, exciting day, and the musicians get very excited about it, as they should, and it offers a break for council operations. It's usually about 5:30 every Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. And it's really just to celebrate our local talent and give them more audience, a larger audience, to really appreciate them and learn about them, and maybe learn about a different genre. Or I haven't heard polka in a while. You never know, but there are musicians that have earned the spotlight and are doing really great things. But that's our music proclamation program. And Music on Hold, the other program that you brought up, is another program that's been around for a few years. It is something that you will hear if you call in 311 or any city line and you're put on hold. You're going to hear an Austin musician or an Austin band performing. And we're actually revamping this program to make sure that all of these musicians not only get their licensing royalties from it, but also have somebody to come online and say, that was just so-and-so with this song. If you want to find it somewhere, then you can look it up, but it will also be online. So making sure that it's these musicians, this talent, this music, this what makes Austin's live music capital of the world so special. All of these wonderful, talented people, making sure that they are easily searchable, you can find them, here's where you can get their music, this is their song, really making it easy.
Yeah, we currently do license this music, but it just hasn't been updated in a very long time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of this program, talking about ATX musician compensation, is that we will be revamping it every year. And it's about 300 songs that will be exclusively local ATX musicians. And so that's just a way of getting more money into their hands, and also while at the same time giving them more exposure, and then just and we will work with also some voice talent, like Alyssa was saying, where we can actually intro, oh, that was so and so. So there'll be different ways that we're going to curate this music, and then also place it within ATXN, the website, plug in for you guys, so that there is kind of a constant stream of music, 24 hours of music, of awesome music that the public can tune into. And we'll be working every year to revamp this every year and re-up these licenses every year to keep it fresh, and also just keep paying musicians what they're due.
That's great. And I know I personally have discovered local Austin musicians through sitting on hold while streaming a commission meeting late night at home. But yeah, it's great. Just another example of a way that you all are promoting our local Austin musicians. Let's see. Another interesting program that comes out of your group is Notes in Time, and I know, David, you've had a big hand in that. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that is and what?
So it's a program to promote our Austin musicians, revenue development, tourism, to boost all of the things that our department, our division mission aligns with. And so the idea came to me years ago. I was in my studio, and local drummer Tommy Taylor was setting up his drums, and Tommy, he plays with Eric Johnson, he played with Christopher Cross, and he has an encyclopedic mind of Austin music history. He was just telling stories, setting up his drums, and I was thinking, man, I wish I had a video camera rolling, because I want to capture this. And that was the original idea. And so we partnered with ATXN, and they were very enthusiastic. Dan Sheffer had recently joined the city, and he was doing a similar program for the city of Tucson. So we shot a couple episodes, and so far we've done Eliza Gilkison, Malford Milligan, Jackie Venson, Denny Freeman, Slade Cleve, Saul Paul, Gina Chavez, and they're really high quality. And so I'm really happy Erica's on board, because she has experience with film, and we're brainstorming ways to further promote the show. But it's really amazing to hear these musicians all tell their story, about what drew them to Austin if they didn't grow up here, and what makes them want to stay. And, identify some of the challenges and how we can address those moving forward. And so it's you can find it on YouTube, ATXN, Notes in Time. And I was sitting at my desk one day thinking, what do we name this thing? I just breathed for a minute and just came to it, Notes in Time. So I like it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it kind of chronicles the Austin musicians and what's happening in our community, and as told through them. So
yeah, absolutely. We shot the most recent episode last week. It was Darden Smith, who's a local songwriter. He's doing amazing things, writing with soldiers and all kinds of youth groups, and Roscoe Beck as well,
Okay.
famous bass player who played with most recently Leonard Cohen, and quite a pedigree he has.
So we have a couple new episodes
We do.
potentially to look forward to. Great. Let's see. Another initiative that I think is coming up later this year is the Education Workforce Development Program. Can you, Alyssa or Erica, or both of you, talk a little bit about that and what are the goals of that program?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about this and then hand it off to Alyssa.
Sure. Okay.
My background was, I started the Austin School of Film, and so I have a background in how do we educate this particular sector, this particular group of creatives in such a way that they have a portfolio that leads to an actual job that pays well. And so there's a lot of training involved with that, whether it's technical training, but it's also internships, real world actual experience within these industries, and then also just making sure, as any artist, is honing your craft, understanding your instrument, but also understanding all the different ways that you can make money beyond just a gig. It used to be in Austin that you could survive on gigging, 5 times a week and live pretty cheaply here and have a wonderful community, and this just isn't the case anymore. We just have to be realistic that Austin is, not going to go back to that, but what we can do is use that foundation as a way to build up our industry in such a way that is that our artists are staying here, and that they're thriving. And so we're looking at partnering with all the universities and colleges here in Austin to kind of work on this continuing education and workforce development program, and also with nonprofits that are here doing great work already. And so we'll just try to scale this up, really focus in on what that curriculum looks like, what makes sense for the Austin industry, but also the music industry as a whole, and start working on just training. Learning, but also experience and portfolio experience, like making more songs, making sure that you're recording, making sure that those recordings will be assisting and giving them the tools that they need to learn how to market what they're doing, so that they actually can get an audience beyond just a live gig. They have got to. Our industry has changed forever, and it's just the way it is. And so we'll be looking at best practices of how to not only survive. Everyone talks about surviving. It's not about surviving. It's about thriving. And that's what we're going to be working with all of these groups to ensure that that's what we're providing our community here, to be sure that they are thriving. And do you want to talk about that?
I just wanted to add that was something that came up in the Mayor's Omnibus in 2016, and it's something that we've been working on for quite some time now, and it used to be called the Revenue Development Platform, and we've now changed that focus a little bit, and I think even though it's taken a little bit longer than we expected, I think we're absolutely on the right track, because now we're really investing in our local talent and actually talking to people who know Austin and actually care about Austin and want to have a piece and making it become a better city, a better music industry. So if you have heard of the Revenue Development Platform, this is where it spurred from, but we're very excited in the path that it's going, and it's more than we probably could have hoped for.
Yeah, because we have to look at it 2 different ways. Revenue development's important, and we'll be looking at all those programs to actually get money into the hands of musicians ASAP. And that's, and teaching them again, this is a way that you can do that. But want that to be very practical and quick, more short term. The long term is the continuing education and industry development. I mean, we have to look at industry development, and that we've got to be training our musicians to be 21st century musicians within an industry that's constantly evolving. And so, what better, again, I go back to what Austin needs. It's innovation, it's technology. We've got some of the smartest people in the world in Austin because everybody wants to live here. It's a wonderful place to live. And so, and we would not have had that without musicians, filmmakers, visual artists, making Austin what it is today. So we owe it to them to be sure that they're trained up and that they're getting the skill sets that they need to thrive and raise their families here, and have their kids stay here and become musicians and raise their families here, and really build
generations of musicians.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what this community is based on. And it's just a tragedy if we lose any of that type of, any of those families that have been here for decades. And I mean, David knows, there is a lot of history here. And so that's a wonderful foundation to continue to build this industry. So.
And I just wanted to add, and this is something our director Kevin Johns always talks about when he speaks on creatives, it's that when the 2008 recession hit, I mean, all different cities around the U.S. their economies went down, but ours continued to thrive because of our creative economy, our creatives in town. And so it's only fair that we help to reinvest in that certain group of people to make sure that Austin stays weird and Austin stays as special as it is right now. So I just want to bring up that Austin was always doing well, and it's because of the creatives.
All these creatives working together, making sure that, you know, it's not just musicians, filmmakers, and visual artists. I mean, that's just not how the creative industries work anymore. It really is about how can you cross over and over again, and how can you better work together. And so we're working with cultural arts more than we ever have before to be sure that there is a very shared vision as well as strategy for training up all of these creatives across sectors and figuring out new ways of collaboration and innovation that works for Austin. So.
That's great. It sounds adaptive, innovative, and something that the local musicians definitely need to keep their ear to the ground to understand better how to get involved in some of these training opportunities, and just to keep it alive and well in Austin, as you all are talking about. And for those of you viewing out there, we are about to jump to Q&A, so be sure to get your questions in. You can comment below, and we'll feed those questions to our audience, to our panel here, and to the panel. We are about to move on to Q&A, so is there anything learning or anything that we didn't talk about that you really want to share?
I just really quick want to also talk more about venues and how hard that we're working, because the affordability issue not only affects artists but also our venues here. And so we are working across the Department of Economic Development in every division to ensure that we are creating programs to keep venues in Austin, help them grow and expand, and invite new people to create new venues here. And so again, please contact our office if you're having any issues, if you are a venue owner, or if you're thinking about starting a new venue. We have lots of resources and programs available to help you make that happen.
We should mention the loan program. So we have a music venue assistance loan program, and historically it's been tailored strictly for sound mitigation, but now we're working to broaden the uses of that loan, and hopefully up to $50,000. So that's something that will be coming online, again, to help an existing venue who wants to expand or possibly a startup, because it's a sensitive ecosystem. You have to have the venues and the residencies for musicians to play and hone their craft and develop their crowd. It's all very sensitive, so we're here to support that.
Yeah.
Great. Are you ready to jump to questions? All right, let's see what we've got here. The first is for you, David. Has the City of Austin begun preparations for South by Southwest 2018? As the first part, and then any advice for those looking to secure permits early?
Good topic. And the answer to the first question is we start the day after the previous South by. Yes, we're preparing.
So you're well into preparations, right?
Yes, we are. So I would say to venues, get your permits in early. We try and message this, and there is a physical deadline. If you have a street closure, it's 180 days.
Do you know what that date is?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't have that in my head, but the other permits, we have a 1-day permit, a 4-day, and then of course the annual permit for the venues, and sometimes they need to be renewed as well. As a matter of fact, many of them do renew during that period of time, so we always help remind them and help them, through the process, answer any questions they have. So that's the main issue: is get your permits in early, and we're in coordination with South by. And
yeah, don't think that you can skirt like the week of and hopefully do it guerrilla style, because it's just not fair to you. It's not fair to the artists. It's not fair to the fans. Work with us, because we will work with you to be sure that everything is above, it works out,
Absolutely. So I work at One Texas Center with ACE, Austin Center for Events, and we're a multi-department approach, fire, code, EMS. So, we have meetings there every week leading into South by to help applicants come in and answer all of their questions. All of the pertinent departments will be there to help answer questions.
Right. And we can come out and check out your venue, or if you were proposing if it's an unusual space that isn't typically a venue, we can still, the sooner that we know about this, the better, because then we can go evaluate things about sound, residences around you. There's, we could save you a lot of money before you go spend all this money, and then it gets shut down even before it starts. And so that's a shame. That shouldn't happen, and it doesn't have to happen.
Right, that's a good point, because there is greater scrutiny just because of the nature of the event. There are So you want to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
So ask for help.
Yeah,
Yes.
You guys
early.
are here.
In the front end,
We're
yeah,
not.
early.
We're here to make it happen, not
Exactly.
to not make it happen.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to add also on the line of venues, we are holding a venue summit. It will be, I believe it's Thursday, the 14th of November, but it's going to be at the Spider House Ballroom. So that's coming up. If you have any questions and you don't know how to get a hold of us, which check online on our site or on Facebook, call us up. But if not, come to the venue summit, and we hold these twice a year, so making sure that you're in the space where you need to ask questions, you have everyone around that will help you. Show up to the venue summit, and we will have presentations also from the Venue Alliance, the Austin chapter.
Yeah, is that specifically for South by Southwest or just in
That is for
general?
venues,
For
for
everything.
music venues,
And-
and yeah,
Yeah, but it helps to have it during, right before South by Southwest when it's early still for us to kind of work with everybody. And so, and also we want venue owners to work together. We want them to advocate for themselves. It's very important that they look at the Venue Alliance. You've got resources here, people who know folks at City Hall that can help you. And so that's what that's all about. So definitely show up, even if you're thinking about starting something new or expanding or you need capital investment. There's all different ways that we can work with venues to make your business sound and grow.
Great. All right, next question. This one's for you, Erica. With consideration for recent events in Las Vegas and Barcelona, how, if at all, is the music office directing their efforts to ensure safety for music patrons?
Right. Well, first, it was a really dark day for us when that happened, not only here, but at Bataclan in France and Barcelona. It affects the industry. When things like that, it affects all of us globally. It's like a punch in the gut. And so the last thing we want is to have this affect how we enjoy music in Austin, but we also need to be practical about things that we can do to ensure safety. I think that C3 Presents did a great job at ACL these last 2 weekends. They did expand their security footprint, and no one complained. I mean, yeah, everyone was willing to wait a little bit longer in order to be sure that everybody was safe. And so, as all of these large events come online, I've actually already started talking to South by to see, like, okay, what can we do? You know, let's start talking right now to see if there's anything that we can add to this to ensure another level of safety. Because the fans have to, this is our community. We've got to stay safe, and I want people to feel like that going to a big event like that isn't a risk.
Right.
And so we need to do everything we can to ensure that that risk is mitigated as best we can.
Next question's for you, Alyssa. Does the Music and Entertainment Division work with the State Music Office? And also, how do they work together, if at all?
yes, we do work with the state's music office. We're gearing up for some special announcements regarding a partnership with them. What I can mention, because we have in the past sector summits, we've mentioned about this directory that the Texas Music Office actually has. They've had it for many years, and it is a directory of all the different industry players in all of these various music towns in Texas. But their staff is only 3 people large, and that's quite a lot of people and a lot of contacts to keep up. So we're going to make sure we're going to take on their data set, and update that more consistently, and making sure that we can send it back. So it's very important for our industry members to know who is actually in town, and oh shoot, I'm on tour, but my sound guy couldn't come. Who can I reach out to? Well, you can reach out to somebody that's on this list as an Austin contact for indoor sound, and anybody. But it's really helpful to have a list of exactly who exists in town, have their contact information available, look them up on Facebook, things like that. But we will be taking over that data set and making sure that it's easier to collaborate more than ever for those industry folks in town.
So are you planning, to send out like a call to people, like send us your information? How can people?
How can they help?
Yeah.
Yes, we will absolutely do that. We're going to have a call out to say, if you want to be involved in this directory, please send us your information. We're also going to be researching, hopefully having a few interns on our staff to do a bunch of that background research on, are these links working? Is this business even in effect right now. So really making sure that we have multiple opportunities to collect the data, making it easier for ourselves, but also most beneficial for the industry in Austin.
And the information will live on the Texas Music Commission, on the Texas Music Office site. So
Correct.
you can go there right now.
Absolutely.
There's also a great one for film. So you can go there now. It may be a little out of date, but like Alyssa said, we're working on that.
And will you guys link to that on your site as well? So
Yes.
we'll link back to it?
Absolutely.
Great. That sounds like a great resource.
And I should add that the initial email about the sound-containing sound system came from Brendan at the music office, so Texas Music Office. So
Yeah.
we work with them.
Oh, we're working with them more and more because it just makes sense. This is a global business, considering how the industry has changed, and so we're working really hard with them to make sure that the industry grows not only in Austin but in Texas.
That's good to hear. Great. And Alyssa, another question for you. Do you maintain a directory? Oh, I believe you might have just answered this question. I believe it's about a directory of professionals if someone's looking for
That's exactly
lighting
it.
designer, etc. So I believe that is all of our questions that we have from our audience.
Oh,
You may have
So, yes, that's all we've got from the audience. I have a couple of other questions that I didn't get to before, or not questions, but just interesting things that you all do. One is the Daybird Music Series, which I'm not sure what that is, if you want to talk about that, and also the North American
Absolutely.
Music Cities Best Practice Summits.
so I'll talk about Daybird if you talk about the North American.
Sure.
Okay.
So the North American Music Cities Best Practice Summit is a summit that we've had going on during South by the last 3 or 4 years, and it brings together leading music cities in the country. In North America, we've had cities like Toronto, Denver, Seattle, San Francisco, New York, Nashville, cities that have established music scenes, but also, more importantly, they have people in local government that are advocating and creating programs for their industry in their city. So we bring together those different folks during South by and create either a day or two's worth of programming and talk about best practices. We've been able to really hone in on some important details for example, policies like agent of change or entertainment license, or is it important to establish an entertainment commission, things like that. And we are hoping to have one of these this year, but we're still planning and seeing what's best for our office. But it's definitely a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, a great network for us to really have and touch base. And we don't just talk during that South by meeting. We talk all year long. So yeah, it's really great to exchange best practices with. So we have that.
I went to a conference in Memphis on Wednesday, the Music Cities Convention conference, just to talk. And it's just that. It's just all these cities coming together, all my counterparts, to come together and just talk about what's working and what isn't working. Not all the issues are the same, depending on what the political climate is. But overall, when it comes to best practices for the industry, that is the same, and that we can learn from each other. And so, again, collaboration. It's not about thinking we know more, because we don't. We're learning. And so I'm looking forward to seeing people in Memphis, and then again, hopefully seeing them again in South by with us.
That's fantastic.
And then for the Daybird Music Series, so this is a partnership with Visit Austin, and it's a daytime series. It's free to anybody. And we like to promote it to tourists and to hotels, and we're working with the hotel industry to kind of get the word out. But so it's walkable venues that are walking distance from each other downtown. It's daytime programming on Saturdays in June is what we did this past year, and we'll look at what that schedule is going to look like this year. And so the whole idea is that you can leave your hotel, you can go spend about 4 hours walking between these venues, checking out awesome local artists that are getting paid to do this. And it's just a way to kind of, during the day, if it's just too exhausting to go out at night, or it's just not, or you just are not used to going into venues, this is a way to just kind of have music for everybody.
That's great. So that's an ongoing program, but
Yes.
it just started this.
It just started
year.
there was a pilot this last summer. It was Saturdays in June, and so we'll be working with Visit Austin to see what we're going to do there for this summer.
Sounds great. And we did get one other question that came in. So what's the best way to submit your band for consideration for involvement in the cultural exchange program or other opportunities for bands out there?
Well, definitely come to our events, and you can also just reach out to any one of us at the music division. If you feel like that, we want to work with folks that have a history of touring, so that we just want to be sure that we're putting our best foot forward as we're sending folks out. It's a lot of logistics, it's a lot of work, and so we just need to be sure that people are used to touring and knowing what that's all about. But we're working with our sister city committees. We're focusing on that more than ever to look at ways that we can do that cultural exchange and that cultural trade. And so I would reach out to groups like ATX6 as well as House of Songs to say, hey, I'm willing to go travel. In fact, all of us are willing to go travel, because it's, some of this time it can take weeks, so there's a lot of reasons why it's hard to kind of get out on the road in this manner. But there is support through these groups to do that, and then the city, like I said, we're going to be working closer and closer with our sister city committees and to create more opportunities for our musicians to get out of Texas and go play around the world. So,
so don't shy away. And
just
get in touch with these folks.
Yeah.
Ask. Great.
Yeah, our contact info is on the website. It's pretty easy. I'm, accessible. I'm happy to talk to anyone. And then we also have wonderful nonprofits here like Austin Music Foundation, Black Fret, that also have opportunities for performance. And so you need to get involved. You just not only with us, but with your community around you, and see who's going. You need to find out who your like-minded artists to go tour with. Also in these ways. And so ATX6 they just got back from Oita, Japan, which is our sister city there, or maybe they're still on the plane, or they're in the process of getting on the plane and living on the plane for a while. So, but they just had a wonderful experience there, and Troy and the boys just went. There was a bunch of different bands from Austin, and so it's a very interesting trade culture.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
So I think that is about it. We're about to wrap up. Thank you all from watching from home or work or wherever you've tuned in, or maybe you're watching this later. But a big thank you to the panel and to your division for all that you do. There's a rich array of programming and services that you provide to the community related to music. And I wanted to give you, again, like an opportunity to say a last word or thought or anything you'd like.
I just thought we'd acknowledge our coworkers. We have Brian Block. Brian is the Entertainment Services Group Manager. He's been with the city, I think, 16 years. He's an avid music supporter and lover, and he has a lot of experience in policy, and that's very helpful. And we have Joanne Fabian as our administrative senior. Kim McCarson. Kim was she's fairly new to the city, a little over a year now. She was most recently the executive director of Co-op Radio. So we have a great team.
Then we also have Simone Wilson, who organizes this wonderful series along with the proclamations and many other programs. Then we finally have Stephanie Bergara, who is the cultural tourism staff member, so she works on audience development as well.
Yeah, and artists. She'll be working with most directly on the compensation for different artists. Anytime we book shows, Stephanie is the one who's helping to book those artists. She is going to be working really hard this next year in looking at the different ways that we can compensate our musicians. So it's a wonderful team. I feel like coming in now in 4 months or however long, how fortunate I am. I can't tell you, there is no better team out there, especially at this moment in time. And it just seems that all the stars have been aligning, to make all of the right partnerships and collaborations happen in such a way where everyone's ready to work and ready to work together. So I just want to say thank you to these guys, and thank you to Austin, for caring about this industry and caring about these creatives. And we're just going to work like mad to ensure that music is always a woven component of the Austin fabric, and the history here. So we're going to grow it.
It's great. And as a fortunate consumer of Austin's live music, I thank you all for the work that you do. And thank you again to all of you viewing at home. This is ATX Music Talks. This is a monthly series, and the topics range from all kinds of topics in the industry, and today we were fortunate to hear about what actually happens here in the inner workings of the city. But again, thank you, and we hope you tune in next month.